Welcome in Tuesday edition, Blue Sky Live here with you this morning. Chase Parham and McCready, Clark Ford Studio. Ole Miss finds out its latest college football playoff ranking tonight. As always, our production to give us a top 25 with that. That'll be on ESPN, maybe 6 or 6, 7. I don't even know the time. We'll find out. We'll tell you before the show's over today. Ole Miss plays South Alabama in the Tad Smith Coliseum game tonight. That is honoring the Bob Wetlick era. That begins at 7 o'clock. Tip there from Tad Smith Coliseum. So those are the particulars for the evening. We'll talk a bit of football here with you today again on the show. A show brought to you every day by Blue Sky locations all over the state of Mississippi, up and down I-55 throughout North Mississippi. Also, by Sweet Daddy's locations, those are all over as well. Lunch specials as well as ribs, pulled pork, side items, desserts, and plenty more. Wherever you are, there's a Blue Sky nearby, including the Oxford Exxon here locally. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. Send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. And the rest is up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today, 662-257-1900. Guests will join on the Campbell Clinic hotline. From fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized pediatric orthopedic team in North Mississippi providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit CampbellClinicOxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111.
So, look, some college football playoff stuff and whatnot, but and you can read these direct quotes and Neal's opinion of it. We're going to talk about Lane Kiffin a little bit and what he said, what he meant. That's up at rebelgrove.com. You can find it right now on the front page. That brought to you by My Perfect Franchise as well. While you're looking there, you can find out more about Andy and those guys. They're in that content item, but you kind of hit it. And I'm not going back to this is not a victory lap, even though it would be worth doing. Lane admitting again that Auburn was incredibly real there, but his entire quote discussing that and what the moment meant to him on Saturday and decisions that it made that kind of led to that. Landry obviously involved in with it. I'll read it here for anybody who hadn't seen it. Was asked about what it meant with his family there on Saturday and said, quote, "It was a cool moment, really caught up with all the stuff. Landry to come up and hug and say, 'Pops,' his dad, would be really proud of you. She was upstairs here at the Manning Center, and I was kind of thanking her. It's kind of documented the Auburn decision and staying here. She said during the decision-making process, hey, I just got here, and when she'd moved to live with me and go to Oxford High, and she was going to Ole Miss, she said, don't leave me now. It's pretty cool how some things happen. Just thanked her because the moments wouldn't have happened." Again, he's said this before, but just reiterating here as well yesterday. But what it got me thinking about was Lane. A lot of people talk about Lane kind of having a horseshoe, if you will, in a lot of areas with his coaching and decisions and whatnot. And he's had a butterfly effect that has led here because he has matured as a coach. He's matured as a person. I think you and I were talking about yesterday that there's just as good of a chance that whenever Lane leaves Ole Miss, it's to the NFL as it is a college job at this point and getting another opportunity there.
So it's probably likely.
Yeah, I would say that too. And you look back at these two decisions and you've got where Arkansas was courting him very hard the day he was hired or the week that he was hired. He easily could have taken the Arkansas job, especially early on before Ole Miss got involved. And, combinations of this podcast, combinations of Chris Malloy's vote of confidence in Lane to donors and admin and kind of how all that went down. And then Ole Miss not hiring Elijah Drinkwitz there instead put him on this path. And then the Auburn thing where he was going to Auburn. I mean, it was done, and yet he doesn't. And you look at where these things going up right now. And look, I don't know what he would have done at Arkansas. Maybe he'd have won like hell over there too. No clue. But Auburn would have been a bad fit. It would have been a train wreck in a lot of ways because he did not fit that program, as you've talked about ad nauseum over the course of the last couple of years. And
I lost friends over that.
Yeah, and these 50-50 decisions that lead him here where they're 2 wins over teams under 500 away from a playoff and securing what the goal was going into the season. But more than that for him, a complete rehabilitation of his coaching career. And not even really a rehabilitation, but the next step that he frankly didn't even have at USC or the Raiders or anywhere else because there was a certain reputation of whether it be nepotism or immaturity or whatever you want to phrase into that. He was kind of a wonderkin, but it wasn't a finished product. And he's been able to mold himself into that as we move forward here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. So at some point, someone will write the book. It won't be me. I don't know who the person will be who writes that book, but if they write it correctly, and a lot of times books like that don't get written accurately, they get written with a revisionist history thing. He probably back in December of 19, late November to early December of 19, had he pushed a little harder, he could have gotten the Arkansas job. He wanted the Ole Miss job because, let's be clear, and this is the part of it that's fascinating, he viewed either one of those places as a quick stop. And he viewed the Ole Miss roster, probably because of the presence of Matt Corral, as a better roster.
And his brother telling him, "Hey, you can recruit there. You can figure it out."
But he was viewing it. He look. He's a smart guy. He didn't know that the summer of 2020 was on the way. In 2019, I mean, nobody did. Anthony Fauci, perhaps, not Lane Kiffin. It's another topic. So he gets the Ole Miss job. The pandemic hits. He's really not in a great place mentally, I don't think. He basically goes back to Florida and hangs out at his pool.
He looked like crap and gained all the weight. I mean,
and then the summer of 2020 happens, and the sport changes in a revolutionary way, and he's sort of able to capitalize on it. He was right about Corral. They go out and they basically add one guy in Chance Campbell to sort of solidify what they're trying to do defensively. And he was going to Auburn. I mean, it's the fight I'm tired of fighting. I'm not. When people go, he wasn't going, I just go, okay. I'm not going to argue anymore. But if those were his words yesterday. He brought up Auburn. Nobody asked him, "Hey, Lane, your thoughts on that Auburn decision a couple of years ago?"
Yeah.
That didn't happen. He brought that up.
No, he easily could have just said, "Hey, it was really cool having Landry and everybody there. Awesome, go Rebels."
Yeah,
and moved on with the day.
And he didn't. He
gave an honest answer.
He gave an honest answer, and that's why I've always said that night in Fayetteville when Arkansas blew Ole Miss out that day, and everybody here was so angry at Cole Kubelik and Jordan Rogers and I don't know who the other guy on the team is.
Is it Tom Hart?
I think it's Tom Hart. I mean, I get it in some ways, but I think you're wrong. They knew a lot. Cole's very connected to Auburn.
The issue is that they were a corporate partner. That's if you have an issue,
Sure.
that is the issue.
Sure.
That you had become a corporate partner.
But the game's 42-6. It's cold. They were doing this on-field experiment thing that night. They weren't up in the booth. It was awkward. The game's a complete mauling. They know things. They're trying not to say it, but they know stuff. I mean, I spent that Saturday writing about Ole Miss's coaching search. Why? Because I wanted to sit in a hotel room in Fayetteville all day long and not see my girls? No. It's because I knew he was leaving. You knew he was leaving.
You sent me names. We started moving.
We did a hot board.
Yeah.
We had one ready to go. I mean, frankly, the morning that I realized that he wasn't leaving, there was a part of me that was borderline disappointed just because of the amount of work we'd put into it. I realized that I had wasted a week. My brothers were in town. It was the Wednesday before, the whole deal. It was crazy. Anyway, yeah, 2 years later, it's wild to see where they've come. But sometimes, I mean, he listened to some people. I think there were people in his professional world who were like, this is not a good fit for you. I think at that moment, he wasn't sure that Ole Miss was as committed to it as he found out a couple of weeks later that they were. And most importantly, the thing with Landry happened. And anybody who's got kids can relate to what that must have felt like. And, and I think there was more than just Landry, but I think it was primarily Landry. And so when the book gets written, that will be one of the real interesting chapters to dive into what the details of, and I think we've gotten a lot of them. They put together a video kind of thing. And,
I'll put my money on Bruce Feldman as the author of that book.
Yeah, Bruce would make sense. Chris Lowe would make sense. There would be some people who it'll be I would guess it would be a national person. But if they dive into that appropriately, that's where that will come. And he obviously talks about it. And I don't know what the future holds at this point. I mean, I've talked about this. People ask all the time. I get the question, like, do you think he's going to go to this school or this school or this school? The Venn diagram of schools that are a clear upgrade that would hire him, it's pretty small. Personally, I think if he leaves in the next couple of years, it's probably for the NFL. He, like most coaches, it's one of the Rivals did a really good job yesterday. We got a lot of help from Rivals yesterday. Adam Gorney wrote a really good column about Kiffin and the portal, where he used Lane quotes about how the portal's not great for the sport. The just ability to transfer is not great for the sport. He used Lane's quotes to support his premise. It was well done by Adam. But he's done it. But I guess what I was getting at was, I think Lane's like a lot of coaches. Kirby Smart across the sideline is one of these coaches that look at this and go, this is becoming, yes, I'm making a ton of money. But the workload on coaches now is just completely it's completely out of whack. It's nuts. I mean, we're about to go into a period where we'll do it too. I mean, we will work around the clock.
They're going to have portal and playoff at the same time. It would be like free agency in the NFL the week of the wild card game.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have coaches finishing up recruiting classes the week of championship games. You're getting your team ready for a playoff. You're scouting an opponent that you probably haven't seen.
You're going to have players missing from practices, playoff practices, to go take official visits to other schools.
Yes. You're going to be trying to bring
your second-team corner is going to be missing practice to go visit Houston.
You're going to be bringing guys into practice, deciding whether, hey, do I really need this person watching what we're doing at practice today? Is there any chance this kid's also visiting the school that we're playing and he's going to tell them, yeah, here's what they were doing? I mean, you got a lot going on. You're bringing in all these guys. You're rebuilding a roster. You're doing all that in December, and then January rolls around, and you've got this completely new group of players, and you start the process all over again, and you're recruiting early because the recruiting process for the next class is sped up, and you have another portal opening in April. It's nuts. So if you told me that he and a lot of coaches like him pursue NFL opportunities, land them, and go, I'll do that. That'll be my last chapter.
Yeah.
Sure, I'd buy that. But I thought it was interesting that he brought that up. I thought it was interesting that he was that honest about it. But there will still be people who will say he never considered it. And I'll just go, okay. Like I told you before we got started, I'm at total peace with where our field is going. There is a segment of all fan bases, including this one, that want nothing but, what does Tyler say?
Something in unicorns and
I think it's rainbows, unicorns, and My Little Ponies or something.
Is it My
like
Little
that.
Ponies?
But there are people that's what they want, and anything outside of that is considered negative and caustic, and it is unviewable and unlistenable. And I completely, while I can't imagine living that way, I acknowledge that there's a growing percentage of fans, and people like me are going to get squeezed the hell out. I get it, 1 million. I'm at peace with it, but he was absolutely on that Saturday night in Fayetteville going to Auburn.
His honesty yesterday, I think, was a lot of reasons. I mean, he's typically honest. It's actually odd when Lane is not honest, number one. Number two, they got the win. They're in a bye week. He's calm for a few days. You know what I mean? His entire demeanor was just kind of like, okay, talk, fine. Like, it was still locked in.
Yeah.
Still very looking forward.
Well, he normally hates bye weeks. And
Yeah.
I think with this team.
Oh, this is a perfect bye week.
With this team, he acknowledged it. Number one, they have some health things. And number two, it would be really difficult after
getting them back at
just because they went hard last week. They emotionally they went in on it, and so it would be difficult to go, hey fellas, we got to do it again Saturday. Here we go. No, it would be
that was the circled game for a year off season. Lane mentioned it. He goes, we prepped for it all off season.
He admitted it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the focal point of their.
That was the circle.
Yeah. And so, no, this is a perfect week. Like I think they just did a brief walkthrough yesterday. They met. He gave them Sunday off. They usually meet on Sunday. He gave them Sunday off. They did the film thing that they normally do on Sunday on Monday. And I think they had if they did anything on the field, because normally when I show up at 11:30, they're still on the field. There was nobody on the field. So if they did anything on the field, it was super
Fast.
abbreviated. And then, obviously, he referred to Jackson specifically. He referred to Trey Harris multiple times. I mean, they've got some guys that they're trying to get healthy. I think if Ole Miss played Saturday,
it'd be dicey.
It'd be a little dicey with darts. So they're gonna do some things this week because they're trying to figure out, can they get anything going with a running game, just enough to balance out what they're trying to do. But
which is going to be schemes and bells and whistles, I think.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. And then they'll play next week. But I think emotionally they needed this week off. And so he was in a kind of he was in a good mood. He was in
no reason to be in a bad mood.
I mean, I didn't think he was particularly reflective or whatever, but he answered whatever people asked. And some of us were fishing. I was fishing for the transfer portal thing. I didn't get a bite.
No, he didn't bite much.
I think he respected the fact that I did throw some bait in the water.
He thought quarterback play might be the reason for some parity. Tried to give an answer to that, sort of, on why the SEC is all jumbled.
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
It's jumbled because it's a collection of teams that, for the most part, are fairly invested, and they can go out into the portal and fix deficiencies. Vanderbilt's better because they were able to add Diego Pavia.
And they spent some money in the portal. Not high school at all.
No, they did some things. And I mean, you add Texas and Oklahoma to the league. And so, I mean, I said it all year. I don't know that there's, with the possible exception of Mississippi State, and they play hard, with the possible exception of State, I don't feel super comfortable saying any team's bad.
No, because the second worst team in the league right now is Auburn.
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
It's Kentucky.
I keep forgetting about
it's
Kentucky.
Yeah.
They have quit.
Yeah, they weren't particularly good in the first place.
Yes, they have quit at this point. That's a good point. It's 14 that's a little weird.
It's Auburn. Auburn's 14.
And their roster's not bad.
No.
I read it this morning. Their roster's okay. They have no quarterback.
Their head coaches, the game's passed him by a little bit.
Well, there's that problem.
It's an issue.
And I mean, I think that's why they're going to have a hard time getting a portal quarterback next year, is he's going to be just a freaking mental head case next year with even more pressure and hot seat and all that kind of stuff. You wouldn't want to go hitch to that wagon right now.
He hadn't gotten to next year yet.
Ooh. Really?
Yes.
Think so.
Oh, I mean.
Odds?
I mean, I think he's got an 80% chance of getting there, but it's not 100.
That's a good point, Sammy. Their best run play of the day was Watkins actually kind of catching a pass. It just happened to be a lateral.
Yeah.
When Dart got close to the line and flared it out. That was a 9-yard gain.
Jackson had a nice run. One time when they just...
No, Florida has much more stability than Auburn from a program standpoint, if Napier's fine. I mean, he...
Absolutely.
I mean, as mentioned here, he did recruit Lagway and had Simmons until Ole Miss flipped him. They've had quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And Mertz is not awful.
No.
Not good, but not awful.
No.
He's fine.
They would have played Texas better had they had one of their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, there was
a third-string quarterback.
There was a lot of hot takes in that. Okay, well, listen, please name me the program that goes to play the third-ranked team in the country on the road when that team is completely dialed in and you play your third-string quarterback and you fare well. Go. I'll listen.
It doesn't exist.
Who you got?
There was
I mean, seriously.
There's this weird rush to go, no, Texas is great, guys. Texas is great. See, Texas is great. It's like they haven't beaten any damn body.
Right, but my point is that they at full strength are better than you are with your third-team quarterback on the road. Just sometimes it's just like, I mean, there was this take in the press box Saturday. Oh, they rushed to judgment with Napier. I'm like, no, they didn't. I mean, they knew like Andy Staples said, they knew they were going to get whacked by Texas. That had nothing to do with the calculus to go, hey, we're going to keep him. The calculus to keep him was financial and a belief that he's not that far away from being competitive. They didn't anticipate that they would take a third-team quarterback who transferred in from like Yale and go to Austin and beat the third-ranked team in the country. Even if you think Texas is overrated and they should be the 13th ranked team in the country,
they still should be beating Aiden McConnell
and they're yeah.
It's not Aiden McConnell. What is his name?
Warner.
There you go. Okay.
I mean, yeah. Come on. That's again. Show me the list of teams that go on the road to play a top 10 team, coming off of a break, dialed in, and you're going to play your third-team quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's see how that. I mean, show me the list of teams that win. Ohio State? I don't think so. I'd be Ole Miss going in there with Walker Howard.
Yeah.
Would you like your chances? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd bet on the Horns.
Tough sell. It's true. Inflation prices are interesting. Hey, I'm glad Hayden said that. I've got that later in the show. We'll come back. We'll talk some more college football in a second. First, you've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce. But you've had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm. Or if you're a real heat seeker, try the spicy ghost pepper. Only a Wendy's signature spicy saucy nugs. I dare you. Hogan was right this morning. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's, a participating U.S. Wendy's.
We're brought to you by our friends at Comer Heating and Air. Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Cooler weather eventually is coming. I mean, that's the rumor. I can't verify it, but that seems to be the report. So you want to make sure that your heating unit is ready to go in your home. Now would be a great time to check it because you probably have time if there's a problem to get it fixed. So get in touch with our friends at Comer and Southern. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, that area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, South Haven, Memphis, that area, call Southern 662-429-4429. We're brought to you by Window Hero. Speaking of fall, it is fall. The leaves are falling. They're getting in your gutters. They're clogging your gutters. And when the rain comes, there's going to be a problem. So get ahead of it now. Get in touch with our friends at Window Hero. They'll come out. They've got the experience, equipment, expertise to make your property look and feel brand new all over North Mississippi. 662-510-7077 or windowhero.com. Also brought to you by our friends at Rustic Revivals. They're based out of Flowood, Mississippi. They build tables and other furniture by hand with locally sourced lumber. Josh and Ashley Pierce specialize in custom-ordered tables, beds, dressers, coffee tables, decorative cabinets, and more. You get 20% off your purchase by using the code REBELS20 when you go to rusticrevivalsms.com. You can also check them out on Facebook or Instagram. You can call them directly at 228-217-1243 or email them at rusticrevivals@gmail.com. Are you retiring soon? How long should you wait to take Social Security? What accounts should you pull from first? Are you already retired? Should you consider Roth conversions? These are just some of the questions that can only be answered with the personalized retirement income plan. Andrew Seago Wealth Management, specializes in helping folks just like you come up with their retirement game plan. Whether you meet at his office in Collierville or prefer Zoom from anywhere, schedule a free discovery meeting and see what they can do for you. It's rebelsretire.com. Again, rebelsretire.com. And we're brought to you by Grenada Home Center. They've got paints by Benjamin Moore, Pittsburgh Paints, Farrell, Calhoun, flooring of any and all types, whether you're looking for stone countertops, granite, quartz, plantation shutters, window treatments. They've got it all at Grenada Home Center, 1301 Sunset Drive, Suite H in Grenada. And you can also call them at 662-226-3127.
AnySpark, the fastest, most reliable fiber internet option available. Whether you're streaming the Rebels or connecting with family and friends, Spark offers both residential and business packages. Their 100 megabytes is now 300 for the exact same price, and they go all the way up to 2 gigabytes for your speed options. Learn more or register for service. That's AnySpark.com. AnySpark, get connected, stay local. You know, we complimented Kirby yesterday really even press conference. Did a good job keeping everybody sane. No crazy overreactions. The guy was an idiot, but he kind of lost me a little yesterday with the what an idiot talking about the Pope kid that celebrated on the field or whatever, because he's got so many off-field issues, and yet we get stronger on this than we do any of the other shit in your program, including people dying. Am I a little lost here?
No, and apparently that's one of the really good kids inside that program.
Like, what the hell are we doing?
He
Kirby?
put out a statement. Felt terrible about it. I mean, he's soft. The optics are bad, but come on.
They had no bearing on anything at all. Nothing.
I mean, what are they supposed to do? Like when you lose a game, go just drink cyanide and kill yourself right there on the spot?
I mean, we were talking about this with Carson Beck. I mean, he was laughing, talking on the sidelines. Okay, what does it mean? I know fans are pissed and all that stuff, but what's the option?
Well, we pay him.
You do. Didn't he buy like a Lamborghini or something?
He did.
That Beck?
Or was given one.
Oh, okay. He procured one in some capacity.
I mean, I had this conversation with John Talty. It amazes me, the mentality of, well, they're paid. All right. I mean, does anybody else remember being 21? Just because someone gave you a whole bunch of money, does that mean you're going to suddenly mature and
doesn't mean you're smart
and you're a grown up? I mean, that is one of the. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's passing me by. I know it. I get it 1,000,000%. But guys, remember, this is one of my parting messages. Even if you pay them $10 million, they're still 20-year-old kids.
They're probably not going and investing it in smart ways.
Well,
That's not the move. Yeah,
it doesn't. The money doesn't change the age.
No.
And if you don't remember being,
it makes small mistakes big mistakes.
If you don't remember being that age, or if you don't remember your kids being that age, or if your kids aren't that age yet. I mean, look, we've been blessed with 3 wonderful kids. And I have an 18-year-old boy in my house right now who's a really good kid. He still does stupid stuff. He's 18. He's a senior. Deuce Knight, these guys that are making these decisions, that are having all this money thrown at them, they're Carson's age. And just because they are better athletes than Carson doesn't mean that they're more mature than Carson. And I can't imagine if someone threw $800,000 in his pocket right now. Hey, what do
you want to do?
Come on. So just remember that. I get it. I get it's emotional, and you're giving your hard-earned money to it. It doesn't make them any older.
And he was talking to Jaden Rashada, who's had plenty of his own issues from an NIL space.
But it's not Jaden's fault.
No, it's not.
I mean, that Jaden,
he got used by the system.
That it would get all messed up.
Else.
I mean, come on. That's my thing. Talty and I were having that conversation about Carson Beck late Saturday night as we were both leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the amount of judgment that's being placed on that young man is wrong. It's wrong. And it's only because of the stupid Lamborghini. All right, well, how many other 21-year-olds, if you gave them 7 figures,
would go buy some dumb
wouldn't
vehicle.
go buy some stupid car?
Yeah.
Give me that list while we're at it. Because that list is going to be about as long as the list of teams that are going to go to Texas with their 3rd-string quarterback and win the game. It's a really short list. I mean, I have a daughter who's Carson Beck's age, who I dare say is far more mature than Carson Beck. And, dude, if you handed her 7 figures, she's going on a shopping spree. Now, she might save some of it, and he probably has saved some of it. But she's going on a shopping spree. I know her. The Amazon boxes are just going to be stacked up. I get it. So why are we judging because they play football? That they do stupid stuff when they suddenly have a lot of money? Come on. That's it.
You're good.
I know that's not popular with the masses, but it doesn't make it not true.
Catching back up. Well, Smart's actual quote was, "What an idiot. I mean, just stupid. I didn't see it till today, but he's embarrassed about it. He's upset about it. Just not real smart. But to be honest with you, I don't have time to waste energy on that. And then obviously the kid said, I want to say sorry for the way it was taken out of perspective and caused distractions, commotion for my teammates and coaches. I in no way, shape, or form would I ever celebrate a loss in the program. Anyone knows me well knows that. He saw Reese McIntyre. They went to high school together. They were celebrating. I mean, he was happy to see his family. Sorry, not celebrating. He was happy to see his family. It just okay. I felt bad for the kid.
I felt bad for him too.
And then his head coach, again, has no comment on any of the shit that goes on in your program where every damn body gets arrested. Yet this was a bigger quote.
People died.
That's one more. Like, come the hell on. Like, I kind of went,
it's worse where we are.
give me a freaking break.
It's just where
that was a bigger deal than drag racing down the middle of freaking Athens.
Yeah. What was he supposed to do? He saw friends.
They're kids.
He literally saw people he hadn't seen in years, and he was excited to see them.
They're a hard program to like. I kind of like Kirby at times, but they're a hard program to like.
Agreed.
They really are. Like, they just...
Well, frankly, the more success you have and the more that stuff gets exposed, the more it's hard to like any other programs.
Because, I mean, winning matters only.
Yeah.
And yet,
yeah.
So here you are at that point. I mean, that's the deal.
Well, when something becomes all about money, it becomes nothing but money. And when it becomes nothing but money, it's just kind of dirty.
The Athletic is projecting Ole Miss to be the number 10 team in the country tonight. They were really good last week. They use all the same analytical tools, and it's there's almost kind of like there's a system to this a little bit.
I'm sticking with my prediction if Ole Miss wins out, somewhere between 7 and 10.
Yeah. So last two hosts, first two on road.
Somewhere in there.
Either way.
And it will depend on external things that are beyond Ole Miss's control. I get this question a lot. Do they need to win style points? No, they just need to win. I don't think so. Just need to win the games. You're going to be 10-2. You're going to have one really great win. You're going to have one really bad loss. It is what it is. It's on your resume. 10-2. You're going to get in the tournament. Somewhere probably in the 8-9 game is my guess. Splitting the middle. 7 is probably as high as they're going to get. 10 is the lowest they're going to fall. Stands to reason they'll move up a little. So if you made me guess, my guess is they'll be in the 8-9 game, and if they win, they'll go play Oregon in the Rose Bowl, assuming that Oregon wins out.
They are projecting the top 12 as Oregon at 1, Ohio State at 2, Penn State at 3,
okay,
Texas at 4.
See, Penn State has nothing but wins. They have a decent non-league schedule, and their only loss was a fairly close loss to Ohio State.
So metrically, it's there.
It's solid, even though they don't really pass the eye test.
Texas 4, Indiana 5.
Okay.
Tennessee 6, but I'll get to them in a second.
Yeah, they still have to play.
They're an interesting team. Just hold on there. Okay. BYU 7, Notre Dame 8, Alabama 9, Ole Miss 10, Georgia 11, Miami 12.
All right, let me get your opinion on something before you dive into Tennessee, because it might be Tennessee related.
Okay.
Will the committee, in your opinion, and no one knows this, again, there's no data. So when people go, well, I know what they're going to do. No, you don't, because they've never done it before. You guess, and your guess might be right. And your guess might even be educated.
We have zero knowledge of what they will do.
But let's say, I'll use this as the example. Let's say that the computer on the last morning kicks it out, Bama 8, Ole Miss 9. Do they send Ole Miss to Tuscaloosa and play an SEC game, or do they maneuver it a little? Let me say, maybe they leave Bama at 8 and drop Ole Miss to 10 to avoid an SEC game?
I think they would do it to avoid a rematch. I do not think they would do it in that example where Ole Miss did not play Alabama.
So in that world, they'd send Ole Miss to Tuscaloosa.
That is my opinion.
Okay.
Yes. I think they would go ahead and keep that. Now, if it spit out Georgia at Ole Miss where you're playing the exact same game on the same field, no, I think they would move it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
Because you've already seen that game. Like, you still could get a different result. I mean, we were all dead set on what was the year 2011 for Alabama and LSU, and you went, wow, when they did it again.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't feel like that. Like, I think they would move that. But as far as Ole Miss, Alabama, no, I think they'd go, hey, Lane, Kalen, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go.
You could be
Sounds
right.
good.
Yeah, my guess is that they would maneuver it to avoid a
Okay.
conference game.
In the first round.
Rather than have a Big Ten game and an SEC game, they would just split
And
it.
sure. I mean,
I could be wrong. I could be right. You could be wrong. You could be right. I don't know.
In today's world, if it ended today, and it does not, and let's say they were right, and then we don't know they're right.
Okay.
The bracket would be Tennessee hosting Notre Dame, 8-9.
Okay.
Ohio State hosting Boise, 5-12. Indiana hosting Alabama, 7-10. Penn State hosting Ole Miss, 6-11.
Okay.
Because you've got the automatic that moves up.
Right.
The winner, if Ole Miss won in Happy Valley, they would play BYU in a bowl game.
Okay.
Ole Miss might sign up for this right now and just go, we'll go to Penn State and deal with it.
Well, there's no question.
It's fine. I get BYU in a minute. Oh,
sure.
Good. Because also in your bracket to get to the finals would be Indiana, Alabama, and Texas. You avoid Ohio State and Oregon in this bracket.
Yeah.
The other side, Miami would be waiting on Ohio State or Boise, and Oregon would be waiting on Tennessee or Notre Dame.
Okay.
That would be how that.
So you had a Tennessee point before I interrupted you. What is that?
It's that every time you run metrics of them losing, I don't know really yet why, but and this is like, the way they do all the computer stuff. Everybody has them out at 10-2 as the one that could possibly get screwed of the 10-2s.
But not Texas at 10-2.
Them two, they're in there too. But Tennessee and Texas appear to be the most vulnerable out of Ole Miss, Alabama, even A&M, like all of them.
Because I'm going to tell you,
Texas is the one where you go.
Talking to some of the national people on Saturday who know a lot of these people, they clearly believe Texas can't afford to lose again.
Go 10-2 and lose to A&M.
They think that's vulnerable at that point.
And because their resume sucks.
Well, their resume at that point, their best wins would be Vanderbilt and Arkansas.
Their strength of schedule is 80. Tennessee's strength of schedule is 70. Those are, let's do this real quick. Top 12, we'll do strength of schedules because this does tell you who's potentially vulnerable here.
Sure.
Oregon, 51. They're safe no matter what. It's fine.
Yeah.
Ohio State, 35. Penn State, 17. That's why they're 3 right here.
Mm-hmm. See, they played a decent non-league. They played Virginia Tech, and they played, I can't remember who else, but they played a decent non-league.
Because in that way, they actually are kind of getting messed over by the committee because they get dropped from 3 to 6 because they're not a conference champion.
Right.
I mean, Penn State being the number 3 overall team in the country and catching Ole Miss in the first round would not be happy that would not be what the Nittany Lions would be looking for there in that bracket.
No.
Texas at 4, 80 strength of schedule. Indiana 5, 81 strength of schedule. So for all the knocks on Indiana, they've played the exact same schedule Texas has from a strength of schedule standpoint.
They're undefeated.
And they're undefeated.
So the question with Indiana, the question with Indiana is, what does Indiana look like with an Ohio State loss?
Right.
Obviously, if they beat Ohio State, well, they catapult.
No, there's an argument for 1.
Right.
Tennessee at 70. It's a bad strength of schedule comparatively to everyone else.
Yep.
BYU 54. They're okay. They got to win over SMU right now. That's a big deal for them.
Yeah.
Notre Dame 56. Alabama 3.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss 39. Safe, fine.
Yeah.
Even though the non-league was trash.
Yes.
Georgia 1.
Who did Bama play non-league?
Courtesy of O'Neal still.
Oh, that's right. They played South Florida and Wisconsin.
That's right. Yeah,
so they played a couple of decent games. And
yeah,
Georgia.
That's right.
I mean, look, Georgia played Clemson.
They did. They have it whenever Clemson.
I mean, they did. And they played Georgia Tech at the end. So if Georgia at 10-2, they're in because they're at 10-2, they have a really strong schedule. And their 2 losses would be at Alabama, at Ole Miss, 2 teams in the playoff. They have a much better case than Texas. And they would have beaten Texas.
Yes.
I meant to say they beat Texas. They lost to Alabama.
Yes.
I think I said, I don't know.
It's fine.
It doesn't matter.
Georgia is not getting left out at 10-2. Impossible.
Nor should
they shouldn't.
Right.
Which is great news for Ole Miss fans. You keep wanting to know who you want to win. You want Georgia to beat the hell out of Tennessee on Saturday.
I've had this argument with people.
You want them to beat the hell out of Tennessee.
The same people that
you
argue
want your win to be this big glowing masterpiece at the top of the damn mountain.
Yes.
That's what you want. You don't want your best win to be 9-3 and they lost 2 in a row.
I had somebody yesterday say, who should Ole Miss be cheering for? And I said, Georgia, South Carolina, and Arkansas.
Yes.
And I got yelled at. And I'm like, okay.
If Georgia is 10-2, they're not getting left out, and you're not either because of that. You beat them. You're safe. Georgia's like this big insurance policy you're putting on your back and carrying into the playoff.
Yeah, the last thing you want Georgia to do is drop 2 games and be 8-4, and then there's a glut of 10-2 teams.
And somebody looks at it and goes, "Well, Tennessee beat them in Athens."
Yeah,
so what the hell did Ole Miss matter?
Goes, what did Ole Miss do? Well, their best wins Georgia. Well, Georgia sucks because they would have lost 3 out of their last 5 games.
No, roll. That's the answer.
Those are the same people that fight me on that are the same ones that go, Kiffin was never leaving for Auburn, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay.
Miami at 12 at 9-1, a 68 strength of schedule. The committee was going to hate them and would like for them to go away, but somebody from the ACC's got to get in. SMU right behind them at 13. So that's shaping up to be a one-bid league either way.
Where's Colorado?
18.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably okay, though, because if BYU loses, they're falling out of the top 12. So it's really hard for that to be a two-bid league.
I think it's a one-bid league. I've thought that from day one.
Colorado can beat BYU and steal the bid.
The ACC is a one-bid league, especially now that Miami lost.
Probably. I guess there's a world, but probably.
But if Miami beat SMU in a title game, SMU would fall. Right? Or how does that work? How does the title game work?
They keep again, the quote made zero sense. The quote from the commissioner or whatever the hell the czar is for this playoff thing said, "We are not going to punish a team for playing in a championship game and losing. However, we will factor in the results of the game." So if you can make that into something that makes any sense,
makes no sense.
Feel free.
See, the problem with this is, hey, we've got to fill an hour here. We've got to do an hour of this, and there's still games to be played. And I'm all for capitalism. Do your thing, but you're going to end up saying things that you regret tonight because you're just talking.
There's one poll that matters, and it's in like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's the day after.
It's that one.
The championship games.
Yes. A&M sitting there at 14. They're in if they went out.
I think so too.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
They would beat Texas. You're in.
And they would knock Texas out.
They would. That's the whole point. Where
mm-hmm.
Georgia or Tennessee, I think, are playing an elimination game, and I think Texas A&M are playing an elimination game. I think Ole Miss and Alabama control their own destiny, and Georgia controls its own destiny.
I think I completely agree. I mean, it's not a great podcast.
But it's just where we are.
It's not a great podcast, but I agree with that.
Yeah. Alabama and Ole Miss are in the best shape of the ones because they don't have the difficult game left, and they're winning in, both of them, my opinion. And then, yes, I think Georgia, Tennessee are in a difficult game.
In these rivalry games, man, when you play for love,
well,
he can not hate.
He can take Kalen and kick him right on out to the damn Citrus Bowl. That's what he can do.
He could do that. I don't bet on it, but
I wouldn't want to be Kalen the next day.
No.
That would make for a bad, because Nick will be up there in his box watching over you, lording over the proceedings.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's what happens with Nick is his record just keeps getting better every day. Every day it just gets a little better.
Sure. Because he hadn't lost.
He hadn't lost
since the national semifinal.
And he's still just there.
Just undefeated. Cruising right along.
Got an office in the building.
Eating brisket and stuff on Saturday mornings. Just living big.
Barking because McAfee asked him to. I mean, like he's living the life these days. Boise, they think will fall to 15 in this one, by the way. That would be down from 12. So whatever. It doesn't really matter, but just.
Why are they falling? Okay. I was just asking.
I don't know. They haven't lost. They're 8-1. Their only loss is to Oregon. Close game.
Yeah, I know. They just don't play anybody.
Army is the one team I guess could catch them. Army's 19. But Boise would have to lose again.
Yeah. Who's Boise have left?
I do not have an answer for you.
I'll find it.
You don't have. O'Neal still did not provide us with a Mountain West schedule to the best of my knowledge.
They probably would have sent us one. Just didn't. I wasn't smart enough to ask for one.
I asked for caps yesterday, so I did do that. Missouri's at 24. I just can't find. I mean, 10-2 is not enough for the Tigers.
Don't give me that. That's not what I asked for. Sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. I was bitching.
Missouri has no shot at 10-2, right?
No. No.
They're at 24. Or they are projecting 24.
All right, Boise's games remaining. See, this is what kills them, man. I mean,
They just don't play anybody.
They don't play anybody. San Jose State, Wyoming, Oregon State. Woof. And then I guess they'll play their title game.
Are they at least playing Wyoming and Laramie?
Yes. So they go to San Jose, to Laramie, and entertain Oregon State.
And it's why Jonty can't win the Heisman. Is that like what do you?
Well, Cam Ward may have lost it on Saturday.
You weren't around for it. We had a pretty lengthy conversation on Saturday in the postgame show of can Dart get invited?
Yeah.
Can he be one of the top 4 invitees?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he can win it.
But I think he can get invited.
Yeah.
Because the only shoe-in right now...
He would be on my ballot today.
I think the 2 shoe-ins today, I do think Jonty's invited if they win out.
Okay.
And I think Dylan Gabriel's invited. My opinion.
Okay.
And then I think Travis Hunter is probably invited. They're winning.
Yeah, they are. And he's probably the best player.
Sure. I think you have one spot between Cam, Dart, and whomever else you'd like to put in that argument. My opinion.
See, I kind of thought Saturday was a Heisman moment for Jackson a little bit, even though it didn't have the big numbers.
Because it has like this Willis room and you come out of the locker room and you carry the team and the whole deal.
His problem for the Heisman is that he doesn't play another high-profile game. Now, everyone's going to watch, and if he lights the world on fire, but like nobody really noticed the game in Fayetteville.
No, it was blowout at 11 a.m.
Of a blah team.
Mm-hmm. Got shot. No, he's.
I think I would vote for Travis Hunter today.
Would you?
Dart would be on my ballot because I think he deserves it.
Okay.
And
it's a mush mash at 3.
I don't think Cam Ward's had that great of a year. He makes a bunch of mistakes that set up the heroics. I guess I'd vote for the kid at Boise. I guess. But, man, they hadn't done. Like, who are you doing it against? Hawaii? Well, it's like running against Mississippi State every week. I mean, like, seriously, if you let, who's the kid at Arkansas, the quarterback? If you let him play Mississippi State 12 times, he'd win the Heisman.
Run those numbers up.
I mean, I'm serious. What would his numbers look like if he got to play Mississippi State 12 times?
This led to a fairly heated argument on Saturday that you also missed, with Tyler being certain that Boise would not have any shot in hell against one of the top 3 or 4 SEC teams because they literally wouldn't be able to run the football at all, and it would look like this. He thought Ole Miss would beat them by 40.
Yes. That's what's going to happen in this stupid playoff because we forced the little sister of the poor into the tournament. We're letting a girl into the boys' tournament. Well, of course she's going to lose.
There's a really good chance Ohio State's the 5 and plays Boise in the first round.
And kicks the shit out of them, pardon my language. And it's just going to be, and everybody goes, this is an abomination. Okay, then why did you do it? It was so predictable. Have a separate tournament. Let them play.
Oh, the nation would be locked into a Saturday afternoon championship between Boise State and Tulane.
Of course.
We're in.
Yeah, play it on Friday night.
We watched the D2 title game when Delta State plays Northwest Missouri or whoever the hell they play.
Play a separate tournament. It would be fun.
And as you always say, we don't go, well, they'd lose to Alabama. Well, no shit. That's not the point.
I do this all the time, so forgive me, but go to the state championships and go to the 7A game, okay? The 3A game is finishing up before the 7A game. When it ends,
when Raleigh beats Mendenhall,
watch the celebration on the field and then go tell the kids, hey, you do know Madison Central would kick y'all's ass, right? I mean, it's the stupidest argument. Like, okay, yeah, we're taking our trophy home.
Yeah.
The whole town's going to be celebrating tomorrow. We're going to have a parade and everything.
Yeah.
And good. You should have fun. Do it. You did it. You won your division. I remember when I was a senior in high school, I think, Northeast was what is now ULM, won the Division 1 AA national title. It was awesome. Everybody watched it. All over North Louisiana. People were wrapped up in it. It was cool.
I did like the Mississippi high school basketball playoffs when all the state champions would play each other in the Grand Slam for one winner.
Sure.
I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's not taking trophy away.
No,
Just a
but
cool little thing.
You're still champs. You still put the thing on your letter jacket that says state champs because you were. Nobody ever comes up to the kid with the 1A state champion thing and goes, yeah, it's not 7A. It doesn't count. Starkville would have mauled you.
Yeah.
No one does that. So why do we do that in college football? Let Boise go win the next thing.
Yeah.
I'd sign up for Boise Tulane. I'd watch that on a Friday night. Sure.
You would.
With the trophy on the line?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Be more entertaining than the Bluebonnet Bowl or whatever the hell the Camellia Bowl or some shit.
Is that in Montgomery or whatever?
Yeah, whatever. No one's watching that. I mean, I would watch the other playoff.
Yeah.
And then in today's football, everybody would watch it going, okay, that's the 10 guys I want out of the portal. I mean, geez. But that's what you do. That would be. But yeah, they're going to send Boise or whoever to the playoff. It's going to be a mall game. That'll be the one that they'll put at 11 a.m. or they'll bury it in the middle of the day.
Yes.
It's fine.
It's fine. The Declaration of Independence Center for the Study of American Freedom is located on the Ole Miss campus and aims to explore and examine the fundamentals and founding principles of the United States of America. The center offers an academic minor in freedom studies, scholarship opportunities for Ole Miss students that bring along lots of networking potential, have events at Bure all the time. I think one last Thursday as well. To learn more, you can find out that by contacting Stephen Scoltetti at freedom@olemiss.edu or visit independence.olemiss.edu.
Arnett's Fine Jewelry is a fourth-generation jeweler located in the old Lamons building on North Lamar Avenue in Oxford. It is a month and a half till Christmas. If you haven't started your shopping or haven't started thinking about your shopping, now would probably be a good time, especially if you're thinking about jewelry. So check out Arnett's. They've got gifts for every occasion, including Christmas, of course. At Arnett's, they want to be your jeweler. And don't forget, if you're shopping for the Ole Miss fan in your life, the College Corner has locations in Jackson and Oxford. You can also look at them at collegecornerstore.com. You've got everything you're looking for. The one in Oxford, more than 4,000 square feet of the best Rebel gear. Again, collegecornerstore.com. We're also brought to you by Argent Wealth. Call Argent Wealth's 401k advisory services team today. They'll conduct a complimentary, no obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. Mention that you heard about Argent on BlueSky Live. You get 10% off your first year's fees. We're also brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. John's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows him to supply his clients with added values, unique benefits, simply not available to other travelers. Get in touch with John. Give him some parameters. Give him a budget. That's really important. And he'll take great care of you. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Get the beautiful, healthy smile you deserve at Corinth Dental. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures that will result in a beautiful, long-lasting smile. From routine checkups to advanced treatment, including implants and Invisalign, Corinth Dental is here to help you achieve your smile goals. Schedule your appointment today. Take the first step toward a better version of yourself. It's corinthdental.com. We mentioned what he said, what he meant. That's up at rebelgrove.com. It's brought to you by our friends at myperfectfranchise.net. If you're a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands, if you're an experienced entrepreneur looking to diversify, Andy Ludicky can help. He's a longtime Rivals board member. He owns multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy, put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. myperfectfranchise.net, Andy at myperfectfranchise.net, or 404-973-9901.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area and offer MedSync to fill your prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery, and everything you need when you need it with G&M. Again, that is in Oxford, 662-236-2222. I mentioned this earlier. I saw this with SEC staff members or the anonymous quotes throughout this article, but it was talking about rising quarterback cost this portal season. Somewhat because with the House settlement coming, Siski talked about this a little bit, that he believes most teams will at least have the money to keep their quarterback. But if not, you're just going to take more to steal them as time goes on. And one SEC personnel quote saying that there's not a quarterback coming out in this portal season that's going to be worth $3 million, but I think you're going to have a lot of $1 million quarterbacks. This year, you had quarterbacks, real proven guys, moving for $250,000 to $300,000. That's just not going to happen next year. Thinks there's around a tripling of price off of this past season for quarterbacks. So,
yeah, that $750 for Peyton Thorne, that's going to change the game.
Whew. All it's doing is pissing off your boosters even down more. We paid what for that guy? Okay. Just saying.
Sure. I mean, when your Major League Baseball team goes out and spends $20 million on a third baseman and he hits 212, the GM gets fired.
If you'll notice that bracket that I had.
See, I wonder if they'll start firing personnel directors because they make bad. Do you fire the personnel director? Is that the new
is that the
new offensive coordinator getting fired?
It's hypothetical. I'm making a point. Instead of Lane getting fired, it's Billy Glasscock whose ass is on the line now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
yeah.
That's how it works. That athletic bracket, by the way, that's projecting this thing, that if everything held pat, which it won't, because it's why we think it's a playoff game Saturday between Tennessee and Georgia. Georgia's out in this bracket, just FYI.
Well, they can't lose again.
I didn't say their name.
Yeah, if they lose again, they're out.
Yeah, Georgia, SMU, Texas A&M, Clemson, and Kansas State are the first 5 out in that bracket. Switching gears for 1 second, and this will be a topic in the spring when this matters. By principle, I don't do a lot of fall baseball, but the roster limits that have come to baseball, they've shrunk the rosters. They've said everybody's on scholarship if you choose to do that. Dan McDonnell, talking to ESPN yesterday, had 2 thoughts on why he finds it so negative. First is that when you prevent walk-ons, you're not letting those kids that just want to pay their own way to fill spots and see what happens from a development standpoint. That's not even allowed anymore because of the way it's set up. Everybody's on scholarship if you choose to go that path, and it's a much smaller 34 is the number, by the way, down from 40 to whatever it was moving forward. And he says his issue he's seeing in the fall is that it is becoming even more challenging to hold practices. If you have 10 pitchers throw today and tomorrow, you literally can't scrimmage for 3, 4, 5 days. So you're limited as how many times you're able to intra-squad, get live at bats for hitters, and evaluate your team as you're moving forward in the fall and the preseason. So that is his biggest
one of the reasons
gripe right now.
One of the reasons the major league camps, when they open camp, there's 60-something guys out there. Yeah, all those guys aren't really being considered for the major league team, but
you need the bodies.
You need the bodies because you're limiting pitchers to an inning,
and you don't have that here at all. So,
well, when you make college sports pro sports without putting in all of the different things that the pro sports need to have pro sports, you have problems.
It's true.
You know one thing, if Ole Miss wins out and goes 10-2.
What's that?
Will anybody give Lane – I've already done it, so I won't have to do it. Will anybody give Lane credit for admitting out loud that spring football's sort of silly and we're not really going to do it?
Oh. What's the spring game going to look like this next year?
If they win, they'll do the same thing, right?
They'll do it whether they win or lose, right?
I mean, I think, yeah. If they don't win, it won't.
How are they going to one-up Joey Chestnut? Who's coming this year?
I mean, I'll never count Lane out on stuff like this.
Always a chance.
I mean, he can pull most anything. Yeah. I mean, why not have a wiffle ball tournament, hot dog eating contest?
A wiffle ball game, a complete wiffle ball tournament would be awesome.
I wouldn't even do the 7-on-7 thing anymore. I'm afraid somebody gets hurt.
You wouldn't even play flag football?
They were competitive in that, and nobody's.
You put athletes out there and give them a ball, and they get too carried away.
In the stands?
Yeah, they get too carried away.
Just been around that.
Chili cook-offs.
Oh, yeah, have a cooking
Each
contest.
position group.
Have a cooking contest.
Chili cook-off. It's not red, blue game, red, blue day. We're just going to have a day.
Oh, that's a thought.
It's a carnival. Just have a day.
A cooking contest would be good. You could start it early. Teams. Have a professional do the cutting for them so that nobody hurts themselves with a knife.
There have been baseball players lose a lot of service time cutting themselves with knives and things.
Yeah. So you could have a professional dice.
You've already got the basketball goal, as Sammy says, have a horse tournament.
You could have a horse tournament.
You just got to fill 2 hours. ESPN just needs a time slot filled. That's all you're doing.
I have probably more respect for that than I do. Like, do you know the guts it took? The not give a damn.
There were only so many coaches who had the capital to pull it off.
And he couldn't have done it at like Alabama. They just would have lost their minds.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, they'd have lost it. But now people can. If Ole Miss makes the tournament,
do whatever the hell you want.
What'd y'all do in the spring? Nothing.
Nothing.
8 hot dogs. Played 7.
There are 134 FBS teams. How many will have spring games in the spring?
I mean, still the majority.
I know.
Yeah,
130.
Probably.
So a couple jump in with Lane.
2 or 3 more. The people that look at it and go, "All right,"
because you're asking every day. You're going, "Hey, can we pull this off? Can we do this?"
I mean, God forbid you make April fun.
Well,
I mean, you ain't playing a game in April. You're not. I mean, if you want to argue that Ole Miss lost to Kentucky because they didn't play anybody in September, I'll buy it. But if you want to say they lost to Kentucky because they didn't do anything in April, I'm out.
Dak Prescott is out for the season, by the way. A little breaking news here this morning. The injured hamstring will cause him to miss the remainder of 2024. So,
yeah.
The Cowboys were already basically dead, buried, and moved on. But here we are.
That's an abomination of a season.
The shovel is going on now.
They fired their coach, right?
McCarthy.
Don't you think?
Yeah. He's out. I'm assuming Peterson's out.
Interesting to see which way Dallas goes.
With the new coach?
Yeah.
Hey, Saints 1-0. And now they win, Neal. And then you fire the coach. You're 2-7. You go win a game.
Yep. That's pretty predictable, though.
I know I'm pissing people off, but like this Saints fans, you people that go, yay. I'm like, what are you doing? I know they played the Falcons. I don't care. Lose the freaking game.
Fans are awful at tanking. They're worse than teams.
I was pulling for the Falcons. I'm like, no, we lose.
Yes.
Guys, we're $80 million over the cap. We can't afford free agents. We can't afford our roster.
No,
we need rookie deals.
Yeah, and you need an early pick.
I mean, one of the reasons we've gotten into this mess is we haven't played the rookie quarterback where you get to save all that damn money with a quarterback on a rookie deal. No. Go beat the Falcons. Yay. Oh, my God.
I know.
Let's get behind the interim and hope he goes undefeated. What the hell are y'all doing? It's not college football where it doesn't matter.
Fans are bad at tanking.
Ole Miss doesn't get a draft pick if they go 2-10.
Fans are awful at tanking. Awful.
Got made fun of by Falcons fans, and we deserved it.
Yeah. You win.
They were like,
you don't need to win
idiots.
that game. Dumbasses lose. Yeah, someone asked, could Hugh do it? And the answer is no.
No, Auburn will have a spring game.
It's one of the reasons, I mean, kind of full circle. Kiffin at Auburn, if he'd done that at Auburn, the gnashing of teeth.
Because it would be.
Oh, yeah. You gotta, and it's one of the reasons here is such a great fit for him is that people just sort of get it.
You know, it's what you get when you hand him the keys.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to the car.
It's why I think his next move is, if there is one, is the NFL. Because maybe you just get to a point where you're like, you know what? I mean, I'll say it. The job that if it opened up, if I were an Ole Miss fan and I were, quote, worried about it, would be Tampa.
Oh,
if the Buck job opened up and there's sentimentality there, it's Florida, it's on the water, sure. I mean, his dad's a legend there in the Ring of Honor. That would
That'd be a tough one.
That'd be a hard thing to say no to, especially if the money was right.
You shouldn't say no to it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't say no to it.
That was Chase Parham said that. But no, I mean, that's the one. If it popped open, I'd be like, well, that's one to watch. But, like, I never bought the Florida thing anyway. I really didn't. I mean, would he have kicked the tires on Florida? I mean, to get more money or whatever? Sure, because that's what agents do.
Yeah.
And if you have a problem with agents doing that, you're not a very smart business person. But I never really considered the likelihood that he was going to go to Florida.
Ole Miss was fined $350,000 for their multiple field stormings on Saturday evening against Georgia. It was $250 for the game afterward, and then $100 because you went with 16 seconds left on the game. So that docked you an extra six figures. LSU got hit $250 for throwing debris on the field.
Right. Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I get the fines. I understand it. You got rules. People break the rules. What's LSU supposed to do on Saturday night? How are they supposed to control that many people?
You can't.
What's Ole Miss really? I mean, I was down on the field. Ole Miss had security people. But there's, like, people always tell me that football, like Pete does this show with me every week before Ole Miss games. And he'll do the line in the middle of the field, and he's like, it's a numbers game. I get it. Like, here you got 5 people blocking 6. Doesn't work, right? Okay.
The students were blitzing.
Ole Miss, the Ole Miss crowd was bringing 15,000, okay? You had a 50 to block. My money's on the 15,000 every time to make the play. Like, you're not blocking that many people. They're getting in the backfield. So why? I mean, okay, but like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know.
And no one in that moment goes, no, hold on, guys. The school's going to get fined. School's getting fined, guys.
Nope, they did. They said a reminder.
I don't mean that. I mean, no, like fans going, no, okay, well, this is wrong.
Yes.
But
they reminded them before, hey, no one's allowed on the field after the game. I mean, maybe they should have said, we're going to get fined $250,000. That money could buy 2 of these defensive backs. But even in that moment, as drunk as people are, they're coming in.
Attention, students. A third of Walter Nolan's paycheck will go to Georgia if you rush the field.
Think of how many players Georgia can buy with $250,000. I mean, the whole thing's just crazy. I don't know. I mean, like, I loved kind of Lane's answer to this yesterday, where he was kind of like, because what his real answer was, do you know how weird that was? All those people down on the field wanting to touch me, and now I got the cops punching people, and I'm uncomfortable with that. Literally. That's literally what he was thinking, is it was just so uncomfortable.
He wanted off that field.
There were germs everywhere, and people wanted to touch me and talk to me, and I just,
I really wanted to go to my office sit for a minute.
I needed to get to my office for a minute, do some yoga, do child's pose for a minute, and just kind of calm down. Because I had to get myself mentally prepared to go talk to recruits' parents and stuff. I mean,
yeah. Time do you think he went to bed Saturday night?
Oh, I mean, 4.
You think he was wired up all night?
Yeah. I mean, probably didn't really sleep.
I mean, I guess you start getting fined less because as you become a better team, there's so many times you're going to rush the field. So there is that. But
like the LSU one, and I'm not one to spend a lot of time defending LSU, but like LSU, what are they supposed to do? Like the Ole Miss game, it was their fault because they handed out the bracelets. And you knew those bracelets were going to go airborne. Like, as soon as they did, you're like, well, did you not think through this? Because it was really cool.
This was basically disco demolition night. You're handing them things and seeing where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, hand raise guy, hey, what are we going to do when they throw them? Oh, you think they'll throw them? Yes. But in this case, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Not let them in the stadium, not let them buy Cokes, not let them buy stuff because they're throwing cups and stuff. How do you police that? Like, so you fine LSU.
And there's more emphasis now after Texas did it to basically get a call changed.
Yeah, they were doing it because they're drunk and pissed off.
Yes.
I don't know how you're supposed to police that. I really don't. I mean, I kind of felt bad for LSU yesterday. Like, they write the check. Like, it's like when you write the quarterly tax check and you want to go screw you on the memo note, like, I hate you.
You want to take the league pennies. Yeah, like literally. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I would be really tempted.
Dimes going to Birmingham.
To send $250,000 worth of dimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Here, jackasses. Because actually money goes to Alabama, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah. Truck that over to Tuscaloosa. Next time you play basketball or something, delivered half.
Well, it's true. And LSU's already paid Ole Miss this year, so you're really only out $100,000.
Yeah.
You've gotten $250 from them. You paid them $250, and you got to pay them another $100.
So they got fined an extra $100 because they came on the field twice.
Well, because they came before the game was over. Yes, they got hit with an extra Hyundai spot for the under.
I mean, what?
Well, Lane made a joke about it after the game. He goes, "I hope we don't get fined twice." You did actually. Yeah, it was true. Yeah,
so stupid.
Yes,
and I was down there. Let me just tell you, that was a really drunk crowd. So
they thought the fourth down was the end of the game. They did not realize they had to snap the ball.
The change of possession, the clock stops.
Yes.
After watching that I know a lot of Ole Miss fans wanted a night game. I'm going to be real with you for a minute. Y'all didn't need a night game.
Had that been at 11:15 instead of
y'all were good.
You're good.
No,
appropriately sauced.
I'm just telling you, y'all were sauced. Yeah. Okay, you didn't need that to be 4 hours later. You think you did?
Yeah,
you didn't.
Yep.
I'm sure that will not be agreed with either. That will be agreed with about like hey, he was going to Auburn. But y'all didn't need that to be a night game.
No. The men's clinics in Madison and Brandon. So if you're experiencing low energy levels, no motivation, decreasing muscularity, increasing belly fat, probably a lot of men out there. Maybe you got some issues they could help you out with. You can check out themanthing.com, see all the different options they've got, because really their goal is to make their patients remain as healthy and as strong as possible throughout the aging process. They optimize testosterone, improve sleep, reduce inflammation, and much more. Patient for a little while now. Again, we're going to give a lot more information on this here in the coming days and weeks, but they're available in Madison and Brandon, and they can treat you from anywhere following that first visit. So again, that's themanthing.com, 601-607-7869.
Brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Speaking of LSU, their simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it really well. The doctor is in. It's time to introduce your new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV, I should say. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, aroma and taste is full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. So the next time you go to the store or wherever you get beer, look for Parish products and look for Dr. Juice. Also, elevate your game day with socks that financially support the Rebels. Every step you take shapes the future of Ole Miss athletics. Visit deadsoxy.com. Choose a subscription to receive the latest in Ole Miss styles every month or at an interval that best suits you. With a subscription, you'll receive 25% off member pricing, free shipping, and a free pair of Juice Kiffin socks with your first order. Only 100 of these exclusive socks remain. Take the next step, upgrade your socks, and as always, stay soxy.
Podcast also brought to you by the Citizens Bank. That's Citizens Bank, PHILA.com. You can stop by and visit them at 902 Sisk Avenue, Suite E in Oxford. Discuss your mortgage options. Remember, Whit Wilson now there in the mortgage space with Citizens Bank to help your real estate goals. And while you're there, you can also check out the School Spirit debit cards. They donate an amount per every transaction to the local school of your choice, whether it's Oxford, Lafayette, or Regents. Again, the Citizens Bank, PHILA.com. Ole Miss has the basketball game at Tad Smith Coliseum tonight. They play the South Alabama Jaguars It's 7:00. Video up of Chris Beard and Bob Wetlick at the podium, at the table, whatever you want to call it, there inside the pavilion yesterday. You can find that at rebelgrove.com. As Wetlick's area, he was the head coach when Ole Miss first went to the NCAA tournament in 1981. They won the SEC tournament, beating Dominique and the Bulldogs along the way, and then losing to Kansas in a close one there in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, is that who they played?
In Wichita, Kansas. Yes, that is correct.
That wasn't a favorable draw.
It's not the best draw in the world. Hey, you get the Jayhawks in Wichita. Good luck. Go ahead. Have at it. Yes, that was the catch. That was among 4 straight postseason tournament bursts for the Rebels there in, I think, 79 to 82 or whatever the 4 years were during that stretch. They had 3 NITs and an NCAA tournament berth there. Yeah, that is correct. So that era tonight not the pavilion. It's Tad Smith Coliseum there at the Tad Pad. The throwback game at the Tad Pad tonight, 7:00. It's a completely different viewing experience because you don't have like all the video boards and the noises and everything. It's just basketball. It's a different era, a little different deal for a game.
Kind of wish they were doing it on a weekend again. They're doing it on a Tuesday night.
They did a Friday last year.
Yeah, and it was before a football game, and it was kind of fun. I don't know what it'll be like tonight.
Doesn't feel like the right night from a crowd pack out standpoint, but
yeah.
And I'm wondering how many people did it last year and went, hey, that was really awesome. I'm glad you're doing it, but I might not need it again. I don't know. Maybe they filled it up. I have no clue.
I don't know.
I haven't heard on ticket sales what it looks like for tonight. But that's kind of where we are. I watched a little bit of Rams Dolphins last night. Tua still will not throw the damn thing and get out of bounds. He just takes hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
Like, at some point. I know how he's wired.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it 9 times about Jackson Dart every game. Somebody goes, why is he not? It's like, it's who he is.
It's who he is.
It just, there is no.
If you've ever been around super competitive people, asking them to not be as competitive is it's just not.
Yeah. Stop, think, throw it away, dive, slide, run out of bounds. No.
And a lot of times they do kind of start to figure it out, and some of them just don't. Some people just don't.
And he's going to be one of them.
Apparently.
I don't like watching him play.
I did not watch any of that in part because I don't want to see him get.
I turned it on a little bit just because of the Rams, and I didn't.
Dolphins won?
They did. Yes, that is correct. Close with this. John Robinson passing away. What sticks out on John Robinson to you?
USC and the Rams. I remember him at USC as a kid.
Do you?
Yeah. He had like Rodney Peete was his quarterback.
Oh. Died at 89.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
He was kind of a legend. A totally different era of college football when there was like the 1 or 2 games on TV every
week. You
week.
had the Saturday ABC game of the week.
The games felt so big. Like as a kid in North Louisiana, you'd see Ohio State, Michigan, and you're like, wow. You never saw the other schools. Like Northwestern, you didn't see Northwestern ever.
They just didn't even.
Like the one year they made the Rose Bowl or whatever is like the biggest deal in the world.
Was that like Darnell Autry?
I don't remember.
Like mid-90s? Something like that? Did I dream that?
I mean, I can't remember when it was.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just a different era. I guess back then, USC, UCLA was a big national game every year. You know, they play in the Coliseum or in the Rose Bowl, and it was I think of guys like him when I think of that.
Todd Golden got a very positive response from his fan base last night in Florida. He did. Yes, that is correct.
Did he take pictures?
It's good. It's good. No photos, please. Thank you. Cavs for real?
Huh?
Are the Cavs for real?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. We're 12-0.
I did not turn the NBA on last night.
Didn't
touch it.
And give it maybe today. No way through the week.
Didn't turn it on.
They're 12-0. They won again.
Yeah, they're very good.
Did you check the scores this morning?
I did not.
You know nothing.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Unless some update hits your little phone thing over there.
I do not have updates on my phone. I have Instagram notifications, so someone in my family must have Instagrammed something.
Thunder won 134-128 last night.
Who'd they play? Clippers?
They played the Clippers. See, that's a double win. You
It
get
is-
a win and a Clippers loss.
and suddenly that's bigger now than it would have been because you're probably going to need that pick to get a big man.
Shea had 45 last night.
I'm not surprised.
Yes. He had 45 and 9.
How many Chet have?
He had zeros across the board.
Yep.
That's what he did. That's correct.
Done. They are done.
8 weeks.
No way.
We'll play this clip in February when he comes back and has 34 against the Rockets on some random Tuesday night. Or whatever it is.
I will guess that he will never be a good basketball player again.
Oh, you're that far.
Mm-hmm. Hips
Mm-hmm.
for people that tall.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And if he becomes a stationary player,
Oh,
he's nowhere. He's not the
that's
same.
Different.
Because his ability was his ability to basically sometimes be a point guard. He was so athletic. You take that away, you take that athleticism away, and all of a sudden his thinness is a major issue. And, I mean, in fairness to the people that were critics of him, the fact that he took that kind of a fall, just taking contact under the goal from an NBA small forward, I hope he has a full recovery and all that stuff. I'm just saying for those that were like, I don't know, man, I'm worried about his frame, that criticism was validated.
Mm-hmm. Last note, South Alabama, if you're just curious, I'm not going to go deep into their thing, but they are 1-1 on the season. They beat Nichols 70-64, and they have a 74-70 loss to the Central Michigan Chippewas. That is their record and their schedule to date.
I mean, frankly, if Ole Miss is Ole Miss is ranked number 25. If they're a top 25 team, this is a double-digit win.
Yes, this is a comfortable night at Tad Smith Coliseum.
These were the games last year that should have been warning signs.
Detroit Mercy, ball in air. Sam Houston, ball in air.
They won those games, but those games were
tight,
very sluggish. And the Grambling game the other night was a slog.
It was.
And look, Chris did it again yesterday, and he might be right. We'll find out. It's too early to know whether he's right or wrong. But there was a lot of mileage put into, hey, Grambling's a really good team. They went to the tournament a year ago.
Florida beat them by 24 last night.
Florida beat Grambling by 24. Yeah, I mean,
86-62.
Here's what I've seen so far.
And they were up 15 at the half.
Here's what I've seen from Ole Miss so far. When they shoot it really well, they're good. When they don't shoot it really well, their lack of rebounding becomes a problem.
Sure.
And I think they have a rebounding issue.
They do.
And so
here they are.
If you become very dependent on how you shoot the three, you're going to have some games where you look great, and you're going to have some games where you don't. And I think that's where they're headed in the league.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have some games where they just outshoot people, and they have a pretty deep roster of guys who can score the basketball. If you have games where the ball's just not going in, and that happens in basketball, you're going to have to go get boards, and you can't get beat on second chance plays and stuff. And I think that's going to be
a secondary way to win.
That is going to be a problematic area for them.
Yeah. All right, tonight, 7 o'clock, Tad Smith Coliseum, Ole Miss and South Alabama. You also find out the next set of college football playoff rankings tonight on ESPN. So both those things coming up. We'll talk about both those things tomorrow. Take care. Have a good day. RebelGrove.com in the meantime, and we'll talk to you then.